What if the worst secret keeper in your entire school accidentally discovered that his crush is a vampire? And now, he's the only thing standing between her and expulsion. This is the story of a boy who can't tell a single lie, protecting a secret that could destroy everything.
Kuramine Asahi has a problem. Not a small one either. This guy literally cannot tell a lie. His face betrays every single thought that crosses his mind, every emotion he feels written across it like a billboard. His friends have lovingly dubbed him Open Book Asahi. And honestly, they're not wrong. The kid can't even hold a hand of cards without his expression giving away his entire strategy, and his buddies don't even bother pretending otherwise. It's not just games either. This curse follows him everywhere. His classmates casually exclude him from secrets because they know he'll leak them without even trying. "Sorry, this can't leave the room," someone says, and Asahi gets shuffled right out the door. People ask for his opinion on things just to watch his face cycle through every possible reaction in real time. His friends say they believe in him, sure, but confidence? That's a different story entirely. But here's the thing. Despite being the worst secret keeper in human history, Asahi has managed to protect one secret since last fall. One precious, embarrassing, world-ending secret that he's guarded with everything he's got. All the way through to April of his second year of high school, this one thing has stayed locked away. And honestly, it's kind of impressive for a guy whose poker face is literally non-existent. The secret is simple, devastating, and painfully obvious to everyone except the person it's about. Kuramine Asahi is in love. Head over heels, can't stop staring, heart-pounding in love with a girl in his class. A girl who sits near him, reads quietly, and carries herself like she exists in a completely different world from everyone else. Her name is Shiragami Yoko. If you asked Asahi to describe her in one word, he'd say mysterious. And that tracks. Shiragami Yuko is an enigma wrapped in long silver hair and a school uniform. She always has a reserved expression, speaks formally and concisely, and eats lunch alone every single day. She doesn't seem to hate school, but she doesn't exactly blend in either. Nobody has ever seen her arrive at or leave the building. The details only get weirder the more you pay attention. She always sits out of outdoor gym classes. Asahi figured maybe she had sensitive skin, but then one day she showed up completely tanned, which blew that theory apart. She arrives earlier than anyone and leaves later than anyone, yet no one catches her coming or going. To someone like Asahi, who can't hide a single thing about himself, a girl shrouded in that much mystery is magnetic. He knows she's out of his league. He said it himself. All he wants is to admire her from afar, to protect the fragile little crush he's been nursing in secret. The irony of the guy who can't keep any secret trying to keep the biggest one of his life isn't lost on anyone, especially not his friends. But Asahi is determined, damn it, and sometimes determination is all you've got. His friend group clearly has other plans. There's Oka, the sharp-eyed one with glasses who notices everything, and Shimada and Sakurada, who are supportive in the most chaotic way possible. Oka has picked up on the fact that Shiragami peeks at Asahi from time to time, which means maybe, just maybe, this isn't as hopeless as Asahi thinks. But Asahi being basically useless is a known quantity, so the odds aren't great. Oka drops the bomb without warning. "Asahi, aren't you going to confess to Shiragami-san?" Just like that, out loud in front of everyone. Asahi practically short-circuits, sputtering, stammering, trying desperately to deny it while his face confirms every single word. His friends watch his terrible attempt at hiding it and collectively agree that yeah, he really is an open book. It's almost impressive how bad he is at this. But the friends aren't cruel about it. They've been watching this slow-motion disaster unfold and they genuinely want to help. Oka says being unable to hide things isn't necessarily a bad thing, and Asahi actually pauses at that, maybe for the first time considering that his transparency might not be a weakness. His friends are touched for about half a second before Asahi gets flustered and accuses them of just finding the whole thing hilarious. The group rallies behind him with the most backhanded encouragement possible. "You're not Open Book Asahi anymore," they declare, telling him to go confess before his feelings get leaked online instead. No more sneak attacks, no more hiding, just go for it. They promise to take responsibility and cheer him up afterwards, which is both sweet and a pretty clear indication they expect him to crash and burn. There's a reason for the pessimism, and it involves a traumatic flashback. Last summer, Asahi got absolutely destroyed by the class rep, rejected before he even confessed. She straight up told him to stop staring at her because she was absolutely not interested. The horror of getting rejected before even stepping into the ring still haunts him. His friends remember it vividly, and someone literally calls for a towel to stop the emotional bleeding. Asahi is traumatized all over again, just thinking about it. One friend is impressed he managed to forget something that devastating, while another screams at the group for bringing it back up. The glasses friend reframes it though. If he survived that nuclear-level humiliation, then a normal confession should be nothing by comparison. It's twisted logic, but it's not wrong. Kill them before they can kill you, apparently. So Asahi makes his move. He's written a love letter, hastily, barely legible, probably embarrassing. And his plan is beautifully simple. Deliver the letter, then run away at full speed. No conversation, no eye contact, no chance for immediate rejection. He's never even talked to Shirogami before, so technically he has nothing to lose. He psyches himself up, grabs the door handle, and reminds himself that everyone has secrets. His hand slides the classroom door open, and what he finds inside shatters everything he thought he knew. The empty classroom isn't empty. Shirogami Yuko is there. But she's not the reserved, mysterious girl he's been watching from across the room. She's stretching out, relaxed, happy, murmuring about how good it feels. And something about her is very, very different from what he expected. Asahi's brain starts short-circuiting as the details hit him one by one. Wings. She has wings and fangs. Actual fangs visible in her relaxed smile. Did he just see bats? His mind races through the impossible checklist while his feet stumble backward in shock. The sound of his shoes clacking against the hallway floor echoes as he tries to process what he's witnessing in real time. She hears him. Of course she hears him. Those aren't just decorative bat features. Shirogami turns toward the doorway, and their eyes meet with the full weight of the impossible hanging between them. She was spreading her wings in what she thought was an empty classroom, finally letting her guard down, and now there's a witness. The most unreliable, open-book witness in the entire school. The realization crashes over both of them at the same speed. That's... Asahi's brain whispers. It can't be. But it absolutely can be, and it absolutely is. Shirogami Yuko, the mysterious girl who avoids sunlight, arrives, and leaves when no one's watching, speaks formally to keep distance, is standing in front of him with wings and fangs on full display. She's a vampire. Asahi stumbles into the hallway, face to face with the biggest secret he's ever encountered, and it belongs to the girl he's in love with. The love letter is probably crumpled in his sweating hand. His grand plan of confess and run has been completely derailed by the discovery that his crush is a supernatural creature, and he, the guy who cannot keep a secret to save his life, is now the only person who knows. Meanwhile, a dark-haired man appears in the hallway behind him. Shirogami spots him too, and the tension multiplies instantly. Asahi's open book reputation isn't just a cute nickname anymore. It's a ticking time bomb attached to the biggest secret in this school. The guy who can't hide anything now holds the one thing that absolutely must stay hidden. And that contradiction? That's where this whole story begins. Asahi's brain is doing somersaults trying to process what he just saw. He tells himself he should forget the scene, the wings, the fangs, all of it. But the problem is that the person standing in front of him right now, flustered and panicking with her secret blown wide open, is so much cuter than the cool, mysterious version he'd been admiring from afar. The real Shirogami Yuko, caught off guard and vulnerable, is hitting him harder than any crush had a right to. She starts explaining everything, and the mystery of Shirogami unravels fast. The truth is, she's a vampire. That's why she avoided sunlight, why she spoke so formally, why she kept to herself. She normally speaks with a Kansai accent, but kept it hidden because if she talked naturally, she'd get carried away and accidentally flash her fangs. Every single mysterious thing about her had a perfectly ridiculous vampire explanation, and Asahi is watching his idealized image of her crumble and be replaced by something way better. Asahi asks the obvious question, don't vampires turn to ash in sunlight? Yuko laughs it off with zero dramatic tension. Nah, nothing like that. She just gets a really bad tan. All those assumptions Asahi made about sensitive skin and mysterious behavior, gone in an instant. The mythical untouchable Shirogami was just a girl trying really hard not to get sunburned and accidentally reveal her fangs. Farewell, mysterious Shirogami. The real one is infinitely more entertaining. Then she asks him something that catches him off guard. Isn't he afraid of her? She's a vampire after all. But Asahi's open book nature works in his favor for once. His honest reaction isn't fear, it's the opposite. He blurts out that he thinks she's ridiculously cute. Just like that. No filter, no hesitation. The most sincere compliment anyone has ever accidentally delivered. And then his brain catches up to his mouth and he mentally screams at himself for what he just said. But here's the beautiful part. It goes completely over Yuko's head. She wonders if maybe he doesn't know what vampires are, or if he's confusing them with something else. She has absolutely no frame of reference for someone calling a vampire cute, so the compliment just bounces off her like she's wearing emotional armor made of pure obliviousness. Asahi realizes with dawning horror and relief that Shiragami might be extremely dense. The conversation takes a heavier turn when Yuko drops the real bombshell. Now that she's been exposed as a vampire, she'll have to say goodbye to this school. That's the agreement she made with her dad, who was against her attending a human school in the first place. He's super stubborn, and the deal was clear. If anyone found out, she'd have to leave. She says it calmly, like she'd already accepted this would happen eventually, and that quiet resignation hits Asahi like a truck. She admits she always knew someone would find out someday. She was prepared for it, had made her peace with the inevitable end of her school life. But what guts Asahi is how casually she says she's already enjoyed school to the fullest and she's satisfied. The words sound brave, but ring hollow. To the fullest and satisfied echo in his head like warnings. This girl is ready to give up everything she has, and she's smiling while she does it. Asahi can't take it. Something in him snaps. Not in anger, but in determination. He shouts that this is just wrong, that he doesn't want her to leave the school like this. He's stumbling over his words, barely coherent, asking himself what the heck he's even saying. But the feelings are pouring out of him like water through a broken dam. He doesn't want this outcome, and for once, his inability to hide anything is working exactly the way it should. He's not just upset because the girl he likes might disappear, though that's a huge part of it. What really gets him is watching Shiragami talk to him so openly, chatting away in her Kansai accent with her expressions all over the place, and realizing she actually loves talking to people. The reserved, silent girl was never who she wanted to be. She was just protecting her secret. And now that the walls are down, the real her is bursting through. He's sure she loves being around others, and the thought of her losing that breaks his heart. Yuko is stunned. She didn't expect this kind of reaction from a boy she barely knows. A boy who just found out she's a literal vampire. She apologizes for saying something weird, her voice small and uncertain. Asahi stares at her, asking how she can even smile like that when she's about to lose everything. The question hangs in the air between them, and for a moment, neither of them knows what to say next. Then Asahi does the most Asahi thing possible. He shouts that he's got it. They should keep the fact that her secret was exposed a secret. Even though everyone says he's easy to read, can't tell a lie, and can't keep anything hidden, he's going to protect her. It's an absurd promise from the worst possible person to make it, and he knows that, but he's making it anyway because standing here doing nothing isn't an option. Yuko starts to say, that's just wrong. It's a crazy plan with zero chance of working based on everything she's heard about this kid. But Asahi doubles down. He doesn't want her to leave, that's why. That's what he means, even though he can barely form a sentence. The words keep tumbling out wrong, but the meaning behind them is crystal clear. And Yuko's composed facade finally starts to crack as she watches this stammering disaster of a boy fight for her right to stay. She smiles. Not the reserved, careful smile she wears in class, but a real one, warm and a little sad. She tells him that she's glad the last person she got to talk to at this school was him. The word last lands like a punch, but through it all, she's genuinely grateful. Then she offers to be his friend if he'll have her, and Asahi freezes because the word friend just detonated every romantic hope he was clinging to. Friend. F-R-I-E-N-D. The word echoes through Asahi's brain in increasingly devastating fonts. He became friends with Shiragami Yoko, the girl he has a crush on, and he's the one who made it happen. He's already screaming internally about why he said friend back then, replaying the moment like a crime scene investigation. The confession he came here to make has been completely derailed and replaced with the friend zone of the century. But the friend zone comes with a perk he never expected. The next day, Asahi discovers that Shiragami lives near the same train station, which means they can commute together. He arrives at what he can only describe as paradise. Going to and leaving school with a pretty girl, the kind of dream he never thought would come true for a guy who expected to walk with his idiot friends forever. His friends watch from a distance, stunned and slightly offended. Every man has his dreams, and Asahi is living one of his. Walking alongside the girl he admires, even if it's just as friends, feels like a fantasy made real. He'd honestly resigned himself to spending the rest of his school days trudging alongside his buddy group, so this upgrade is astronomical. The fact that this paradise is built on a foundation of supernatural secrets and a promise he's spectacularly unqualified to keep doesn't dampen his enthusiasm one bit. But reality creeps in fast. Walking together means Yuko asks him something that sends his heart rate spiking. She'd noticed he was always staring at her, and wondered if maybe he'd figured out she was a vampire. Asahi panics, confirms he was staring. then immediately tries to redirect by saying there's one more secret he needs to keep. Yuko wonders if her nose hair was sticking out, and he nearly loses his mind telling her that's definitely not it. And so the new status quo is set. Kuromine Asahi, the open book, the guy who can't lie, the worst secret keeper in recorded history, now guards a secret that must never be revealed to anyone. He's walking home under the stars with Yuko, and she's telling him the moment he found out, she figured her school life was over. But instead of exposing her, he promised to be her friend and protect her secret. She's genuinely moved, and he's genuinely terrified about whether he can actually pull this off. Yuko says something that makes his chest ache. She never thought she'd have a day where she could walk home with a friend. The loneliness she'd carried all this time, hiding her accent, eating alone, never getting too close to anyone, all of it surfaces in that one quiet confession. Asahi curses himself for saying friend instead of something braver, but even he can't deny that right now, in this moment, being her friend might be exactly what she needed. But there's a storm coming, and its name is Akemi Mikan. Back at school, a girl from the newspaper club is already sharpening her claws. Her mottos are terrifying. If you tell me not to do it, I'll do it anyway. If you run away, I'll chase you. And worst of all, if you say it's a secret, I'll expose it. She's Asahi's childhood friend. She's heard that open book Asahi might be hiding something, and she considers him a free, limitless source of gossip. The worst possible person just set her sights on the worst possible secret. Meanwhile, Asahi is already doubting himself. He wonders if he can really keep Yoko's secret. He's called Anazaru, a leaky bag full of holes, and he knows it. But Yoko told him he didn't need to do his best, just be her friend. And somehow, that makes it both easier and harder. She chose to trust the most untrustworthy person in the school, and now he's walking beside her into a minefield of nosy friends, newspaper club predators, and his own traitorous face. The open book is trying to keep a secret, and the whole school is about to start reading. Now that Asahi has a vampire friend he needs to protect, of course the universe immediately throws a wrench into everything. Mikan, his childhood friend from the newspaper club, has already snapped a photo of him and Yuko walking home together. She doesn't know about the vampire thing yet, but she doesn't need to. The photo alone is a weapon. She's already crafted a headline, "Love Affair Exposed, 2 people walking through the streets at night." She even photoshopped a hotel into the background. This girl is a menace. Meet Akemi Mikan, the proud #1 scumbag of the entire school. Her motives for running the newspaper aren't noble pursuits of truth or providing necessary information. She thrives on watching other people suffer from her exposés. She single-handedly raised the school newspaper's readership from 0 to 70%, purely through weaponized gossip. When Asahi calls her an evil queen, she takes it as a compliment, completely missing that it wasn't meant as one. Mikan shows up the very next morning with her camera and a grin that could curdle milk. She's already asking Asahi if she can put the photo in the newspaper, and before he can even process what's happening, she's waving around her digital copies like playing cards. Running away with the physical photo is useless because, of course, she backed everything up. Asahi's friends watch the chaos unfold and confirm what everyone already knows. Mikan is absolutely, certifiably the worst. Asahi snaps into panic mode. He begs her not to write the article, offering to do anything she wants in exchange for this one favor. His desperation is so intense and so unlike his usual easy-to-read self that even Mikan pauses. Something is different about him this time. She notes how peculiar it is that he's acting this desperate, and her journalist instincts immediately start tingling. What exactly is he hiding, and why does it matter so much? The reason hits Asahi like a freight train as he thinks it through. If Mikan publishes that article and starts digging into Shiragami Yuko, the secret could unravel. And if the secret gets out, Yuko has to quit school. That's the deal with her father. Even if it doesn't go that far, the attention would force Yuko back into isolation. She'd be alone in that classroom again, eating lunch by herself, keeping everyone at arm's length to protect herself. He can't let that happen, not now that he's finally become her friend. The thought of Yuko sitting alone at her desk, head down, hiding her fangs and her accent and everything real about herself, it fuels Asahi's determination. He decides he has to stop Mikan this time, just this once. He knows she's powerful when she's annoyed. He knows she's dealt him trouble before. But this isn't about him anymore. This is about a girl who trusted him with her biggest secret, and he refuses to be the reason it falls apart. Then backup arrives from the last person he expected. Oka appears on the scene and tells Mikan he'll be siding with Asahi this time. He's known Mikan for ages and has dealt with her chaos plenty, but right now, he can tell Asahi is doing this for someone else's sake, for Shiragami specifically. Oka doesn't know the vampire secret, but he's perceptive enough to read the situation. Asahi says it's impossible to stop Mikan, and Oka fires back that yes, it absolutely is possible. The confidence is reassuring, even if the odds are terrible. The confrontation escalates fast. Asahi chases Mikan through the school hallways, and she taunts him the whole way. The more he hates it, the stronger she gets, apparently. She's laughing about how far he's willing to run, suggesting she scatter the photos from a high vantage point for maximum coverage. Asahi calls her the worst, and she wears it like a crown. But despite the chaos, there's a flicker of something in her expression. She's having fun, but she's also watching him more carefully than usual. Asahi finally corners her and makes his plea. He turns to face her directly and says one word, please. He tells her he's known her for a long time, so he's going to listen to her just this once. He's begging, not demanding, and the sincerity of it catches Mikan off guard. She grudgingly agrees to hear him out, but then immediately pivots to say she didn't believe a single word of his act. The push and pull between these two childhood friends is exhausting, but underneath the bickering, there's a real history holding it together. He begs her not to write the article, offering anything in return. Mikan's eyes light up at the word anything, and the wheels start turning. She wants an exclusive interview with Asahi about everything he knows about Shirogami Yuko, the girl the whole school considers mysterious. Asahi's blood runs cold, because this is exactly the kind of digging that could expose Yuko's secret. He's trapped between protecting Yuko and feeding the gossip machine that is his childhood friend. Meanwhile, Yuko is waiting in the empty classroom after school, completely unaware of the war being fought on her behalf. She double-checks that nobody's around, confirms the coast is clear with Asahi, and finally relaxes. Her heart is pounding as she prepares to do the one thing she's been waiting all day for. The thing she can't do in front of anyone else because it would blow her cover instantly. Asahi's own heart is racing too, but for entirely different reasons. She eats lunch. That's the big secret moment. Yuko eats her after-school lunch because she can't show her fangs during the regular lunch period. Asahi had been wondering how she managed meals at school, and the answer is charmingly mundane. She just doesn't eat anything until everyone leaves, then has her meal alone in the empty classroom. The rumbling stomach he heard during class? That was her. He can't help thinking how adorable the whole situation is, even as he apologizes for staring at her food. He asks her the obvious question. Since she's a vampire, does she drink blood? Yuko gets adorably defensive, clutching her lunchbox and insisting she's not giving him any of her food. Her reaction confirms something Asahi had already suspected. She eats normal food, not blood. Every assumption about what a vampire should be keeps getting demolished by the reality of who Yuko actually is. She's just a girl who gets hungry, brings a cute packed lunch, and happens to have fangs. Yuko scolds him for running in the hallway earlier. She really does speak in that stiff, formal way around other people, and the contrast with her relaxed Kansai dialect when they're alone is striking. Asahi notices that she lets her fangs show when her guard drops, which is exactly the kind of detail that could get them both caught. He apologizes and then, in the most Asahi move possible, desperately begs the class rep to overlook the hallway running incident. The two of them settle into their after-school routine, and Asahi can feel how natural it's becoming. He crashed into Yuko while sprinting through the halls, and the resulting collision left them face to face, close enough that he could see every detail of her expression. She starts lecturing him about being more careful, but her voice is warm, and her face is right there. And Asahi's brain is doing the thing where it short-circuits because the girl he likes is inches away from him. Oka watches the whole spectacle from the sideline, sipping a drink with that knowing half-smile of his. He observes that Yuko really does switch to formal speech around other people, confirming his suspicions that something unusual is going on with her. But he's not pushing. He's just watching, gathering information in that quiet, analytical way of his. The contrast between Oka's subtle intelligence and Mikan's aggressive chaos makes them the perfect pair of threats to Yuko's secret. When Asahi tells Mikan to stop the article, she agrees. Sort of. She says she'll listen to him this once since they've known each other a long time. But the look she gives him says volumes. She didn't buy his performance for a second. Whatever he's hiding, she can smell it, and a temporary ceasefire isn't the same as surrender. Mikan is backing off for now, but she's already planning her next move, and Asahi knows it. Somehow, despite everything, Mikan's threat gets neutralized, for the moment. She doesn't know how she got outmaneuvered by the open book, but something about his desperation was different this time. He wasn't just panicking for himself, he was protecting someone. And even Mikan's gossip-hungry heart can recognize when someone is fighting for real. The photos get shelved, The article dies, but the newspaper club's eyes are still wide open. In hindsight, Asahi realizes it might have been better that he never confessed to Yuko that day. If he'd asked her out while holding her secret over her head, it would have become a gross, keep your secret in exchange for dating me situation. Instead, he chose friendship. And even though it stings, it was the right call. He's okay with being friends for now because someday, when the time is right and the secret is safe, he'll tell her how he really feels. He'll reveal his one remaining secret, that he loves her. Yuko tells him she's not sweet-talking him, but she trusts him with this. She doesn't need him to force himself, and she'll accept whatever outcome comes from his efforts to keep her secret. That trust, delivered with a smile and those barely visible fangs, hits Asahi harder than any confession could. He declares he's ready to fight, pumped full of determination and probably doomed to spectacular failure, but completely committed nonetheless. Somewhere in the shadows, Mikan is already sharpening her next headline, and this story is only getting started. Asahi's after-school lunch routine with Yuko has become sacred, the one time she can eat without worrying about her fangs. But today, Mikan strolls in uninvited, having heard a boy and girl talking in a classroom and deciding to investigate purely out of boredom. Asahi nearly dies on the spot. The one room where Yuko's guard is completely down now has the school's most dangerous gossip standing in it. Yuko doesn't see the threat at all. She cheerfully introduces herself while Asahi tries to shove Mikan out the door, describing her as his childhood friend, the newspaper club president, and the worst person alive. Mikan politely introduces herself to Yuko like a normal human being, which somehow makes everything worse. Yuko even scolds Asahi for being mean to her. The real crisis hits when Yuko's stomach growls loud enough to register on the Richter scale. She can't eat in front of Mikan because opening her mouth would flash her fangs, but she's been starving since morning. She insists she can endure, but she's literally trembling from hunger. She's not convincing anyone. Mikan is dangerously observant. She notices Yuko desperately hiding her mouth and wonders aloud if there's something she doesn't want shown. Asahi scrambles for a cover. It's just good manners to close your mouth while eating. Somehow, impossibly, Mikan buys it. But Mikan catches Yuko sneaking tiny bites and calls it out directly. Why is she eating so secretively? Anybody would find this suspicious, not just the school's gossip queen. Asahi realizes he needs a way better strategy than hoping Mikan doesn't notice things, because she notices everything. Mikan asks Yuko what she thinks of Asahi. The answer is devastating in the best way. Kind, funny, goofy, a good friend. Asahi hears friend land like a gentle punch to the gut, but can't help smiling because she means every word. Then, Mikan goes full Mikan and asks Yuko if she's already done it with Asahi. The room explodes. Asahi screams. Yuko doesn't understand the question. Mikan rephrases with increasingly inappropriate suggestions while Asahi tries to physically shut her up. Pure chaos. The lunch situation reaches critical mass. Yuko's bento clearly shows she hasn't eaten since morning, and Mikan catches rice stuck near her mouth. It's almost a miracle the secret has survived this long. Yuko is terrible at hiding things when she's hungry. Mikan smells blood, metaphorically. She declares she wanted to reveal a big secret, and marches up to Yuko with questions about why she's eating after school. Yuko fumbles through excuses about being busy during the break. Mikan's eyes narrow, filing it all away for later. Then Asahi asks about the blood drinking thing, and the conversation derails completely. Yuko explains vampires don't drink blood as food. It's intimate, like a kiss, like pledging love. They only do it on special occasions, like weddings. Asahi's entire understanding of vampire mythology collapses in real time. Yuko calls him out. Isn't asking a vampire to drink blood basically sexual harassment? Asahi apologizes profusely because he just innocently asked a question and accidentally propositioned her by vampire standards. She scolds him for not knowing basic vampire common sense while he melts into the floor. The disaster peaks when Yuko opens her mouth too wide, arguing about her stolen shrimp, and her fangs flash in full view. Asahi screams at her to watch her mouth. Luckily, Mikan was too distracted to notice, and the crisis passes by pure dumb luck. Yuko begs him to forget everything that happened today. Mikan leaves without discovering the truth, and Asahi collapses in relief. She waves goodbye with a promise to keep targeting Yuko's lunch. Yuko asks if friendship between men and women can really last. A loaded question from a girl who just learned what friends are. Before Asahi can process it, her stomach growls again.